Breaking news in the rock world, and it's the kind that leaves the air completely still. Just hours ago, the unthinkable happened. One of the most iconic forces in modern rock, the heartbeat behind every groove, every anthem, every moment that defined a generation, is gone. Fans across the world are waking up to the same stunned silence tonight. Messages are flooding in, tributes are pouring out, and behind it all, there's one heartbreaking truth. Limp Bizkit's founding bassist, Sam Rivers, has passed away at just 48 years old. The band has confirmed the news in a deeply emotional statement, one that feels less like an announcement and more like a farewell between brothers. What they wrote breaks your heart. Before the stadium lights, before the chaos and fame, there was just a kid from Jacksonville, Florida, a quiet dreamer named Sam Rivers. Born in 1977, Sam didn't chase fame. He chased rhythm. Even as a kid, he was drawn to the pulse of sound, to the steady beat of his friend John Otto's drumsticks echoing through small garages and school halls. It wasn't about being seen. It was about feeling the music move through him. He started on guitar, like most kids trying to find their sound. But something didn't click until one day he picked up a bass. The moment his fingers hit those thicker strings, everything changed. That deep, resonant tone, it felt like home. That single choice, switching from guitar to bass, would shape the rest of his life. And fate? It had plans. Because not long after, while working a simple fast food job in a Jacksonville mall, Sam met a young guy named Fred Durst. Two workers behind a counter, talking music, trading dreams, and unknowingly sketching the blueprint for a band that would one day change rock forever. From that moment, something clicked, a creative spark, a kind of raw chemistry that neither of them could explain. They didn't know it yet, but they were about to build something the world had never heard before. By 1994, the spark between Sam Rivers and Fred Durst had grown into something undeniable, a sound that refused to sit quietly in the corner of the music world. Out of the small clubs and restless nights in Jacksonville, Limp Bizkit was born, raw, fearless, and ready to shake the system from the inside out. They didn't care about fitting in. They cared about making noise, the kind that left a mark. With Wes Borland on guitar, a genius of controlled chaos, and DJ Lethal bringing hip-hop texture to hard rock fury, the band's lineup was complete. And at the center of it all was Sam, the calm within the storm. In 1997, their debut album, $3 Bill, Y'all, exploded onto the scene. It didn't just hit, it detonated. The record became the voice of a restless generation that wanted to scream, move, and feel something real again. Sam's bass lines grounded the madness, smooth but forceful, heavy but full of groove. Where Fred Durst brought fire and rage, Sam brought balance. He was the heartbeat beneath the chaos, steady, deliberate, almost surgical in the way he anchored the noise. Together they created a sound that was both brutal and beautiful, aggressive yet hypnotic. Limp Bizkit wasn't just another band. They were a movement, and Sam Rivers was its pulse. What followed was pure ignition. Tour after tour, arena after arena, Limp Bizkit didn't just play music, they dominated it. By the late 90s, they were no longer that small band from Jacksonville. They were a cultural phenomenon, the soundtrack of teenage rebellion, late-night chaos, and raw emotion bottled inside every speaker. Songs like Nookie, Break Stuff, and Rearranged didn't just climb charts, they defined a moment in time. For millions of fans, those riffs and that bass line were an anthem of survival. Messy, loud, and unapologetically real. Sam's sound became instantly recognizable, deep, controlled, and full of weight. It was the pulse that turned chaos into rhythm, rage into movement, but behind the curtain, fame was taking its toll. The endless travel, the pressure to top their last success, the constant noise. It all started to wear on them. There were creative clashes, burnout, and moments where it seemed like the band might not make it. Fans held their breath through every rumor of a breakup, every pause between albums. Yet somehow, through all the chaos, Sam never drifted. When things splintered, he was the quiet gravity that pulled the pieces back together. While the world saw the headlines, Sam was the one steady presence behind the scenes, loyal, calm, and still chasing the groove that started it all. He wasn't just a bassist keeping rhythm. He was the rhythm that kept Limp Bizkit alive. Just when the world thought Limp Bizkit had faded into the noise of nostalgia, they came roaring back, louder, sharper, and more self-aware than ever. Their reunion wasn't a desperate grab at the past. It was a reminder that their energy had never truly gone away. Festival crowds that once filled arenas in the early 2000s were now joined by a new generation. Kids who grew up hearing their parents' records and wanted to feel that raw pulse live for themselves. And right in the center of it all, Sam Rivers. His bass had evolved with time, becoming smoother, deeper, more deliberate. The chaos of youth had transformed into the wisdom of experience. But the groove? That never left. Every note he played carried history, years of touring, heartbreak, triumph, and unshakable loyalty. Clips of their performances began going viral again, short bursts of nostalgia mixed with awe. Audiences watched Sam command the stage, unbothered by trends or expectations, reminding everyone that true musicianship doesn't age, it matures. His sound was no longer just background. It was the heartbeat that held decades of memories together, with a new single out and a massive South American tour on the horizon. It felt like the band was entering a second golden age, the kind that only comes when artists rediscover not just their music, but themselves. Limp Bizkit wasn't just back. They were better. And Sam, as always, was the anchor holding it all steady. Then came the post that froze the rock world in its tracks. A single image, a black square, and a few words that no fan ever wanted to read. Limp Bizkit's official account shared the news, simple, raw, and impossible to process. In loving memory of our brother, Sam Rivers. Today we lost our brother, our bandmate, our heartbeat. The statement went on to call him the pulse beneath every song, the calm in the chaos, the soul in the sound. It wasn't a press release. It was a eulogy written by friends, men who had lived through decades of stages, fights, laughter, and silence together. You could feel every word like an echo, heavy and tender at the same time. Within minutes, the internet transformed into a sea of grief. Hashtags bearing Sam's name trended across platforms. Fans posted old concert photos, shaky footage from the pit, and candle emojis lighting up timelines from Los Angeles to London. Musicians who once toured with the band began sharing memories, stories of quiet kindness, of backstage conversations, of how Sam's bass would hum softly even during soundcheck. Like it had a heartbeat of its own, there was no anger, no scandal, no noise, just silence. The kind that only follows when the music stops, and everyone realizes how much one person's rhythm held the world together. That night, millions played Nookie, Break Stuff, My Way, not to relive the past, but to feel close to him again. For a few minutes, through headphones and speakers everywhere, Sam Rivers was still alive, the pulse still there, carrying us through one last chorus. In the days that followed, the outpouring of love for Sam Rivers became something bigger than music. It felt like the entire rock community paused, not out of routine respect, but out of genuine heartbreak. Messages poured in from every corner of the industry, from musicians who once shared the stage with him, to new artists who grew up studying his every move. Wes Borland called him the gravity that kept us grounded, even when everything else spun out of control. Fred Durst, usually the firebrand, wrote that Sam was the quiet strength, the heartbeat that never needed words to be felt. DJ Lethal described how Sam could walk into a rehearsal, play one note, and somehow make the whole room lock in. Fans echoed that same feeling. They talked about the way Sam smiled during live shows, small, knowing, almost shy, like he was grateful just to be there, lost in the music. They shared stories of meeting him after gigs, of his calm energy and humility that seemed to stand in contrast to the chaos surrounding the band's fame. To them, he wasn't just a rock star. He was proof that power could be quiet, that real talent didn't need to scream to be heard. Younger musicians spoke of how his bass lines changed the way they played, not just technically, but emotionally. Sam taught them that music isn't about showing off. It's about serving the song, about feeling it in your chest before you ever play it with your hands. That's what made him timeless. Even now, as the tributes keep coming, one thing is clear. Sam Rivers' rhythm never stopped. It just moved, from the strings of his bass into the hearts of those who listened. His notes are still out there, in the echoes of live recordings, in the memories of crowds, in the generations of artists he quietly inspired. Because legends don't really disappear. Their sound just finds a new way to live on. And for Sam Rivers, that rhythm, that soul, it never ends. He wasn't just a bassist. He was a reminder that sometimes the quietest people make the loudest impact. In a world full of noise, Sam Rivers found power in restraint, in the spaces between notes, in the calm that made the chaos sound beautiful. His presence didn't demand attention. It earned it, one heartbeat at a time. For those who grew up with Limp Bizkit, his sound is woven into our memories. Those long drives, those headphones in moments, those stages lit by pure energy. And for those just discovering him now, his story is a masterclass in humility, loyalty, and love for the craft. So tonight, wherever you are, put on $3 bill, y'all, or significant other, or results may vary. Turn it up, not to mourn, but to remember. Because when you hit play, you'll realize something profound. Sam's gone, but his rhythm isn't. It's still moving through every bass line, every lyric, every heart that ever felt his sound. Rest easy, Sam Rivers. Your music never ends.